level difference between EWM and WM. Yeah, and I'll just try to give you a quick overview of EWM, and then from tomorrow onwards, we will start deep diving into the system, and we will start looking into the different topics within the EWM. Yeah. So before we actually go into technical things of EWM, I mean, we all should know first, right? Because I see most of you, I think 90% of people, you have already you already have a domain experience, like you have already worked in warehouse. So you all maybe already knowing like what is warehouse and how it is managed and all. But for others who don't know what is, warehouse management and what are the different areas within a warehouse, so for them, I'll just try to explain them like what is warehouse management, and what are the different aspects within the warehouse management. Yeah, then only they will understand what is EWM, what is WM, what is IM. So all those things they will understand. But first thing what they need to understand is like what is warehouse management. Yeah. So as you all know, right, operationally, since you all are working professionals, so you may be already knowing, like operationally, we have a warehouse, right, where we actually stock up our inventory, right, because that is very important for any business. If they want to really, grow, and if they want to really have a good supply chain network and all that, so for that they should have a very good warehouse. Okay, warehouse operations. So that is a physical warehouse, right? But even in system, right, we should have a good approach, or we should have a good, system which can help business to, work efficiently. Yeah. So that can be done by implementing a warehouse management. It can be any warehouse management. I'm not talking only about EWM, but even if we want to manage a work efficiently, then we can also do that with warehouse management, right? Previously we used to do it, but now of course with EWM there are a lot of improvements happening in the system, and there are a lot of new functionalities introduced by SAP. So we are now shifting to EWM, but still warehouse management is a tool, or it's a module which can be implemented to manage our warehouse very efficiently, so that business can work smoothly, right? So what is warehouse management? Basically, it provides the flexible automated support in processing all the goods movement and in managing the stocks in your warehouse complex. Yeah. So it helps business to manage the stock. It helps business to manage the goods movements, okay, within and out of the warehouses. Yeah. So that really helps to monitor the stock and to always make sure that there are no delays in supply and receipts and all that. Yeah. So all that can be controlled using the warehouse management in a system, right? And within warehouse there are different areas, right? So if you would have visited any warehouse in your companies, then you must have seen that there are different physical areas within the warehouse, right? So one first area what you will see in your warehouse is where they are loading the trucks and doing the good receipts and all, right? So that is a good receipts area. And one part of the warehouse which will be dedicated for goods issue, right? So that area we can consider as a goods issue area, right? And within warehouse there are a lot of different areas where we need to store the products. So for example, let's say if you are working on a in a FMCG industry, or maybe to be more specific, we are working on a let's say bottling industry or a PepsiCo, for an example, right? So PepsiCo, they must be receiving the product from the suppliers, right? And they must be also receiving a product from their internal manufacturing units, right, in a warehouse. So how they store those bottles, or what they receive from the factory or what they receive from the supplier, obviously those bottles must be getting received in some pallets, right? Because they cannot suppliers cannot send the bottles in a pieces, I mean in a loose pieces, right? That is not the way we manage the supply chain network, right? So we will always receive those kind of products in a pallet. So where we can store those pallets, right? Because those are pallets, and it can be easily stored in a high racks. So high racks means in a warehouse there is a concept called as a pallet storage. So whenever we receive a goods in a pallet, we can store them in a specific area which has the racks. So I mean, very common example, if you go in any of the shopping center like DMart or somewhere, right? you must have seen that, you must have seen there are a lot of racks where you are from where you are picking your goods, right? So those racks are nothing but kind of you can just consider those as a racks. And if you are storing a very bulky product in it, then we need to have the high racks, so that we can store the bulky products or pallets at the lower level and then at the higher level, and that way. Yeah. So that kind of a storage system we should have in a warehouse if you are working with the pallets. So we will look into this in more details, obviously, but I'm just trying to give a overview of how warehouse looks actually. Doesn't matter if it is a normal WM or a EWM, right? So every warehouse, most of the times, will have this kind of arrangements. Yeah. So in warehouse, we will also have a picking areas with fixed bins. So what does it mean basically? So let's say if you are working in a automotive industry, just for an example, right? So in automotive industry, you will be having a lot of loose products, right? I mean, a lot of high volume products, nuts and bolts, for example, right? So which are highly consumed by your production guys, right? So those kind of products you will always like to keep in one fixed place, right? Because it doesn't make any sense that whenever those kind of consumables are received in your warehouse, you will move it here and there, because that doesn't really help, because your production guy should know that, okay, these are my highly used products, so this should be available in this specific area. So those kind of products which are used very heavily, okay, we can keep those products in a specific bin, so that the picker or a user or a warehouse operator doesn't have to struggle when they want to do any kind of receiving or picking of such kind of products. So that we can manage using the fixed bins. Yeah, so within a warehouse, we will have an area where we will have a dedicated bins for those kind of products which are, uh, highly used or which are frequently used by your warehouse operators. Yeah, so this is also one of the important area within your warehouse. Yeah, and we also have the yards. So in your warehouse, right, before the, let's say you have a big premises, right? So in your premises, the warehouse is one part of that premise, right? But when the truck arrives, let's say for example, a truck arrives from the supplier, right? So truck will not directly go into your warehouse door, right? It will first go into your security gate, right? That security guy will provide him all the approvals, and then that truck driver will go inside the inside the premises. But still, even if he has entered inside the premise, he cannot directly go and park his vehicle near the door, because he should first check whether the space is available or not, like near the door. If space is not available, then what he will do, he will park his vehicle temporarily in the yard, right? I mean, yard is just a place which is outside the warehouse, where the truck drivers or where the containers or the trailers can be stored temporarily. Yeah, so that is basically a space outside the warehouse, so that is the yard. So in EWM we can also have the yard movement, so we can actually control how the our truck will I mean, after our truck is arrived, where it should go. Before it actually goes into the door, it should be parked in the parking lot. Then the truck driver should check that, okay, the slot is now available, then I will move my vehicle from the parking area to that particular door. So this is also one of the important area within your premises, even though it's not part of a warehouse, but still it is integrated with the warehouse, because actually the truck or a container is going to go and do unloading in a warehouse, right? So this is important to understand, like how we do the yard management and how we do the.
Sorry, Amit, are
Yeah.
you sharing something as of now?
Yes, I am.
Because your screen is still for me. Means I cannot see different screens as of now.
No, I am still on the first screen
Okay,
actually.
okay, yeah. Sorry then. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is about the yard. So now this is a second slide. Here you will see an example of what I have spoken so far. Yeah. So I've spoken about normal warehouse, how it looks, right? So if you see this particular picture here, here you will see all the different areas, right? So this area, okay, where the trucks are. So now the trucks are already, parked near the doors. But assume before the trucks are, docked at this particular dock station, they must have, parked the vehicles
Sorry,
here.
sorry. For me, the screen is still no, it's freeze for me. I'm still on the first page. Is it for everyone or for me only?
Same for me. Ranjit, this side.
So
Okay.
you're not able to see a screenshot.
No,
Now it is moving.
now, yes, yes, now it is.
Okay. Okay.
Now I could see third page.
Yes, yes. Now I can see. Yes, yes.
But
Thank you, Amit. Yeah.
yeah, can you all just confirm once, like you are able to see this layout of the warehouse?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what I was trying to explain is like whatever I have spoken so far that you can see in this picture. Yeah. So this is how generally a basic warehouse will look like. It will have all the different areas. So you see these racks. So these are the racks which I was talking about. This is what we called as the pallet storage. Here we store all our pallets and all, right? And these are the trucks. Okay. So these trucks are loaded in the door, and what we do after the trucks are loaded, we do the unloading, right? So that unloading is in this particular area. Yeah, this is the staging area, right? And when we move the goods out of the warehouse, that is done from where? That is done from the shipping area. So this is a shipping area. So I mean, this is just an example, but every company will have its own warehouse layout, and based on the warehouse layout, we will have to design it in the system. Okay. So
Uh,
that
Sorry, Amit. If you are moving your cursor or something, I'm not able to see that. Something. Maybe you can just
mm,
make it a full screen, and then I can able to see some cursors moving around because you said
actually,
that is
I am on already a full this one presentation mode.
okay. Okay. For
Can
me, it
you?
is not at the presentation mode. It is basically still.
Is it?
Yeah, maybe you can just
Yeah.
uh, unshare and share it again, and probably then it will
Okay.
be more better for us
Okay.
to
Let me
understand.
do
Yeah.
that. Yeah, sure. Okay. So I've done it again. So just let me know if you can see the full screen because I'm again in a presentation mode.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Now
now
it
we
is.
can.
Now
Yeah.
it
Now,
is.
now in
And we
presentation.
can see your cursor also moving. Yeah.
Okay, fine, fine. Yeah, so this is just an example of one of the warehouse, but what I was trying to say is every company will have its own warehouse and its own layout, right? So we need to first understand the layout of the warehouse, and depending on that, we need to implement our SAP strategies and all that. Yeah. So this is the example of any basic warehouse, which I just wanted to show you all. Okay. Fine. Now coming into EWM, right? So we have now seen a concept of warehouse, how warehouse looks, and what are the basic areas or what are the basic functionalities within the warehouse, right? Now, just to give you a quick understanding of EWM, right? So what is EWM basically? It's an extended warehouse management system, right? And it's an advanced version of warehouse management. So in SAP world previously or even now, a lot of companies are working with warehouse management, right? But now most of the companies have started shifting to extended warehouse management. But when we try to move our warehouse management to extended warehouse management, or even when we are trying to implement extended warehouse management newly, then we need to first understand what kind of extended warehouse management system we should implement or we should deploy. Yeah, because there are multiple variations available. Yeah, SAP has provided multiple variations within the extended warehouse management. So depending on the business need, we need to decide like which one is best suited for our company. So, so just to give you a quick, explanation, like what are the different deployment options SAP has provided so that you understand what it is and what we are going to learn in our course, which version or which form of EWM we are going to learn in our course. Yeah. So in this picture, if you see the first one, this first deployment options over here, you can see that it is EWM 9.5. Okay, and it is a decentralized extended warehouse management system. Now, what is decentralized? Okay, so decentralized, as the name suggests, it's not a centralized warehouse management system, meaning it's not within the same your ECC box. So you are working in a ECC environment, right? In a ECC system where you may be having your production version, testing system, and all that, right? So EWM is not part of that. EWM will be managed separately, okay, in a separate box altogether. So managing a system in a separate box is nothing but decentral. So it's not centralized, it is managed separately. So that is why it is called as a decentralized extended warehouse management system, right? And this decentralized extended warehouse management system, like which is a 9.5 and all, it works in combination with NetWeaver. Actually, this is just a deployment option, right? We need to understand what it is and in which scenario we can deploy this. So this deployment can be done in this kind of scenarios, right? Where the volume are very high in your warehouse, right? Like let's say if you're working in FMCG industry or an automobile industry where the volumes are very high, right? And the flow, and it's very 24/7 warehouse, right? So in such kind of scenarios, it is always advisable to have a separate system or a separate box that is a decentralized extended warehouse management system. Why? Because when you have a decentralized box, right, it doesn't depend on your centralized, it doesn't depend on your ECC. Of course there will be an integration, right, but warehousing activity can be performed independently, right? Let's say your ECC system is having some maintenance of 1 hour or 2 hours or something, right? But that doesn't mean that this decentralized warehouse management system should also have the maintenance during the same time, because this is a decentralized managed system. So your warehouse guys can still perform the picking and the good receipt activities. So that is an advantage of having a decentralized warehouse management system where you can still work independently even if ECC is not available for some time. Yeah, so that is the advantage of having a decentralized EWM. Now here, the second picture, what you see over here is this is the most recent, I mean, not I would say recent, it is used since long now, but this is most preferable option of EWM implementation. Now, assume you are working in a small and mid-sized warehouse, right? Where, the volumes are not very high, right? And it's not, 24/7 kind of a warehouse, right? And there's no need to have a separate box altogether. We can still manage everything in one system, right? So that can be done using this embedded version of EWM. So what does embedded means? Meaning everything is in one system, meaning your uh, uh, ECC, like all your different modules like finance, material management, sales and distribution, everything will be in the same, and even EWM will be in the same system. So this we can propose to our clients in which scenarios, if it is a small and mid-sized warehouse, yeah, and for example production warehouses where we are actually producing the goods and storing the goods. But if it is kind of a distribution center, let's say, which is working 24/7 and the volumes are very high, then it is still advisable to go with the decentralized extended warehouse management. Yeah, there is one more variation over here in the last, which you see decentralized EWM on S4 HANA, right? So the first one here, this was also decentralized, but this was older version, meaning this can still be working with your HANA based ECC. You don't need to have S4 HANA to implement this particular decentralized extended warehouse management system, right? But let's say your ECC, okay, your all other modules are in S4 HANA, then, but you still want to go with the decentralized warehouse management system, then you need to implement this particular option where EWM will be also part of S4 HANA, but it will be a decentralized. Yeah, it will not be part of the same box. It will be a separate box altogether. Yeah, so that is the difference between the first one and the third one. So again, here the decision is the same. Why we need to go with decentralized? It all depends on the business scenarios, the volume, and the other requirements of the warehouse. So these are the different variations. And what we are going to see in our training course is this one, embedded, because this is mostly used system within the companies, that is embedded version. So we will look into this EWM embedded version in S4 HANA. Yeah. So this was the high level overview of the different deployment options what we have. Okay. Now, since we are now going to work with two different systems. Okay, like so even if we work in embedded version, right? Even though if it is the same system, but still we are going to talk with your ECC system, because all your transactions like purchase orders or sales orders, everything is going to be created in normal ECC, and that needs to be integrated with EWM. Okay, even though if it is in same system, but still the integration needs to be there. So there has to be some sort of communication, okay, between the two systems, like your ECC and your EWM. So how that works? Yeah, so let me just try to give you a quick overview about it. Yeah. So integration here, you see, although SAP EWM is a self-contained application, but still it needs the integration with ERP system, right? Because as I said, most of the processes are initiated from ERP. Now, what I mean from ERP over here is your normal SAP ECC, where we actually create the purchase orders, sales orders, production orders. Yeah. So all those transactions are created in ECC, but when it comes to EWM, we always use this terminology, so you can also get used to it. Like we for non-EWM things, we always tell ERP, and for EWM, of course, we tell it as EWM, right? So that is what here I'm trying to explain. Like we need to have some sort of integration so that both the systems can communicate, SAP ERP and SAP EWM. Yeah, so that integration setup we need to do, but this we will see during our course. Yeah, how this integration setup is done, what are the different configurations and all that. Yeah, and there also has to be some communication channel between these two systems, right? Because we need to transmit, or we need to have the synchronization between the two systems, right? When we create, let's say, any kind of master data, right? uh, for example, material master or something, then the same should be available in EWM. Okay. But in embedded version, okay, the master data distribution, meaning, let's say if you are creating a new material master altogether in your ERP world, right, then it will be automatically available in EWM, right? It's just that we need to extend it to the warehouse management system, I mean the WM view, right? Because it's the same box. So we don't have to actually transmit the data from one system to another. But assume if we are working with decentralized warehouse management system, then in that case, we will have to transmit the data from ERP to EWM using different methods like SIFing, that is a core interface method what we use to transmit the data from one system to another. But we are not going to look into that. We are going to work with the embedded version. So we will just focus on that. But wherever it's possible or applicable, I will just try to explain you how it works in decentralized and how it works in embedded. Yeah. So two kinds of data can be transferred between ERP and EWM. One is master data and another is transactional data. Now, what I mean by transactional data is your let's say the purchase order is created in ERP system, right? But that is the transactional data in ERP, right? It needs to be communicated, but your good receipts, right? The logistical moves will happen in EWM. So when the purchase order is created in ERP, it needs to be somehow communicated to EWM. Then after it's communicated to EWM, the GR will happen. That is, the good receipt will happen in EWM. So that good receipt information should again come back to ERP, right? Because both the systems should be in sync. The good receipt is happening in EWM, then it should also reflect in ERP. So all that is done, using this communication, developing this communication channel between both the systems. So that also we will see. right, how that is done. But I just wanted to give you an overview, like what are the different communication channels, or what are the different things which we need to communicate between these two systems. That is, it is a master data and the transactional data. Now, as I said, we are going to work with the embedded version, right? So in embedded version, the transfer of master data is not needed because everything is in one system. Yeah, it's just an extension of master data to a warehouse view and all that. Okay, but as I also said, like in case of decentralized, let's say if we are working with decentralized extended warehouse management system, then we need to transmit the data from master data from ERP system to EWM system using some methods like sifting, that is core, using a core interfaces, integration models and all that. But we are not going to look into it, but this is just for your information. So you should be aware, right? Like if it is a decentralized, then how it will work. Like there has to be some basic awareness. So that's the reason I have kept these points in the slide. Okay, so this is how it will look like. So we are going to work with embedded version, right? So and this is the our, so this box, okay, is basically our ERP, right? And this box on the right hand side is our EWM. Both are in the same system, but still you see that there are some movements happening. So for example, whenever material master is created in ECC or in ERP, yeah, it will be accessible in EWM also. So that's why it's mentioned over here as direct access, meaning you don't have to do any integration modeling, like you don't have to do any sifting or something for this. Yeah, so material master will be available automatically, business partners will be available automatically in both the systems. Now, we will look into this, like what is business partner and what is material master, and how it is, created and available in EWM system in details. Yeah, but here I just wanted to show you like what are the different parameters which are important, when it comes to embedded version. Yeah, so these are the two master data which is needed, material master and the business partners. Yeah, and when it comes to the transactional data, as I said, like we create inbound deliveries, right? In ERP, we create outbound deliveries. What is inbound delivery? Basically, inbound delivery is created against the purchase orders so that we can do the good receipts, right? And this inbound deliveries are also termed as ASNs, basically, right? Advanced shipping notification, which comes from the supplier, right? So against this, we need to perform the good receipt. So now in EWM, we need to perform it, right? So if we want to perform any activity in EWM, then we need to have some preceding document, right? So the preceding document in EWM would be inbound delivery. So once the inbound delivery is created in ERP, it will get distributed to EWM, and then using this inbound delivery, a good receipt will happen. Same goes with the outbound delivery. So if you want to ship anything out of the warehouse, then obviously we'll have to create a sales order or an outbound delivery. So this outbound delivery will then get distributed to EWM, and using this outbound delivery, we will perform the picking activities and we'll do the goods issue. So once the goods issue is done, again, the information will go back to ERP so that all the document flows are completed, right? So this is a basic setup which is used in the embedded version. Yeah. So I hope it is clear how it works in embedded version. Of course, we will look into this in more details as we go ahead, but this is a quick overview of the communication pattern between both the system. Yeah. Fine. So again, as I said in the beginning, today we will not go into directly and jump into the EWM, and we will start working or looking into the EWM parameters and all that. But today, let's try to understand the difference between what is warehouse management, what is in inventory management, and how it is different with the extended warehouse management system, right? So here in this picture, you see the first bullet point over here is IM. So IM means what? Inventory management, right? So let's say if you are working in a very small scale industry, right, where the production is not that high, and even you're not storing your goods in your warehouses. You're directly producing it and you're shipping it out, and it's a very small scale company. So for those kind of companies, you don't need a of course, physically you will need a small warehouse, right? But in system, you don't need to manage everything so minutely, right? You don't have to see the stock situation every minute, and you don't have to manage the stock very, at minute or at macro level. Yeah, because it's very small scale industry, and there are many few products which are manufactured and stored. So for such kind of warehouses, it is not important to implement this extended warehouse management system and warehouse management system. Those kind of warehouses can still sustain with inventory management. Okay, so that is the inventory management. So here goods are maintained at the storage location. Okay, meaning there is no separate setup of the warehouse. So whatever space they have in their manufacturing facility, in the same space they are managing the stock. They're not having a separate warehouse for storing the stocks, and they are not doing a minute level inventory adjustments or inventory management. Yeah, so that is the IM level. But now let's say you are working with a mid-sized company, right? And where the number of products which are manufactured are very high, and also you need to store those products after they are manufactured for some time, right? Because you cannot directly ship it out, because it all depends that when they are needed. And it's not like always you do make to order scenarios, right? Make to order in the sense you are only producing when the order is received. It's not like that, right? There are some companies which always prefer to have some inventory, like make to stock, meaning you will always have some stock in your warehouse, so that whenever an urgency comes, you can always ship it out to your customers, or you can always ship it out to your subcontractors, for an example. So for those kind of companies, it is always better that we manage the stock at the at the very minute level or the macro level, right? So that can be done by implementing a warehouse management system, SAP WM. Yeah. So here we manage the stock at the bin level. So meaning at any given point of time, you will know that where exactly your stock is lying, right? So you can always go into the system and check that, okay, my so and so product is lying in this bin. Okay, and what is the quantity available? If it is below my minimum order level, then I can always trigger the replenishment. So all those kind of activities can be easily managed and performed if we go with the warehouse management, if we have this in the system, right, implemented. So that is the warehouse management, where we can manage the stock at the bin level. Okay, now the most and important thing, that is EWM. So now, if you would have noticed in last few years, this EWM has gained a lot of popularity because of its advanced features, and it's increasing the efficiency of the warehouses because of all the new improvements which SAP has brought in. Yeah. So what is EWM basically? In EWM also, the goods are managed at the storage bin level. That is fine, which is done in WM also. But how it is different from WM is because in EWM there are a lot of new functionalities which are introduced, which helps business to manage their work very efficiently. Okay, which helps business to implement all their strategies very efficiently, like when to pick, what to pick, in which area it needs to be stored. So all those new features are available in EWM. So that we will see going forward. Yeah. So, but this is the high level difference between the IM, WM, and EWM. So in this picture, you can see that if it is IM managed, meaning inventory managed storage location, then this is how your enterprise structure will look like. So your plant. So for example, this is a plant, and it will be just assigned to the storage location. So your stock will be managed at storage location level. So there is no warehouse in IM, in inventory, right? But let's say if you go with WM, then we need to assign the storage locations to the WM. right? So we will have to implement the warehouse management. And obviously, if we implement the warehouse management, then all these structures will come by default. So we will look into all these things when in details when we start working with the EWM scenarios, like what is storage type, storage sections, storage bins. So all this will be part of even EWM thing, right? So if I again click, so here, this is how the EWM structure looks like. It will look a bit complicated to you all right now, but once we start going into the system, it will be more clearer. So here you can see that we still have a warehouse, right? So this is a EWM warehouse, but there are a lot of new features available in EWM, like activity area. Okay, so this is, I mean, just a high level activity area is nothing but the logical grouping of the bins available in the warehouse. So this helps users to do the picking and good receipt much more in efficient way, right? This is really a good feature. You will understand it once we go into a deeper analysis and deeper understanding of this particular topic. Yeah, but I just wanted to give you an overview of the differences between IMWM and EWM. Right. So again, here, this is the same thing. I will not go into much details because anyways, we don't have to work into WM now. We will be more focusing on EWM. So you will automatically come to know what are the features available in EWM as compared to WM. Yeah, I will just try to explain you few important functionalities available in EWM, which really helps business to take the things forward more efficiently, right? So in EWM processes, basically, these are the three high-level processes, right? I mean, in any warehouse, basically, you see that this will be the three more important operation. One is inbound, okay, where we will be receiving the goods from the supplier. After the goods are received, we will be storing it, okay? But how we store it, this is important, right? Because this is where our EWM, plays an important role. We have a lot of new functionalities introduced in EWM, which is called as process-oriented storage controls and layout-oriented storage control, which is used to efficiently store the goods within the warehouse, and which is also used to efficiently move the goods from one place to another within the warehouse. Yeah, so that I will explain you quickly in next few slides. Yeah, so that all happens in the storage and operations. Then we have the outbound processing, obviously, right? Once if you want to do any kind of picking, I mean shipping, then it all falls under the outbound processing. Yeah, so these are the three major processes in any of the warehouse. But in EWM, it has a lot of improved functionalities which we can use to manage the things more efficiently. Okay, so I'll not go into this theoretical part. It's fine. Okay, so here you see this pictorial view or a flow diagram where I'm just trying to explain how things works in EWM. Even though it is embedded, even though everything is in the same system, but still there is some integration happening between both the systems, and there are few documents which are transmitted from one system to another, right?
So,
So
sorry,
yeah.
over here, as we know, no, we have two students, that is Ranjit and Akshay, who are little new. So,
Mhm.
it's just a high level request. If you can basically elaborate on little bit first time on the purchase order and other things. Okay,
Mhm. Yeah,
just
yeah,
high
yeah.
level. Okay, yeah,
Sure,
thanks.
sure. Yeah. Okay. So here you see there are two sections. One is ERP and one is EWM, right? So as I said in the beginning, more majorly the things are initiated in ERP. So if we take this example of inbound process, right? So what is inbound process basically? Inbound process meaning we are trying to do a good receipt of the product which is supplied by the supplier. Okay, so how we do that? I mean, if people who are very new to SAP, so for them, whenever we want to, do any kind of good receipts, or whenever we want to procure, okay, anything from a supplier, what we do, what is the first step in SAP? Okay, we need to create the purchase order. Yeah. So forget about SAP. Even in your normal operations, let's say if you are working in any factory or in any, even let's say if you are working in non this I mean, non-technical areas, like if you're working in normal stores, if you have your own stores, then if you want to buy something, how you will buy? You will first create a purchase order, like you will create a request and you will update everything in that document, right? Like, okay, I need this product. Okay, from where I need to buy this? I need to buy this from my XYZ supplier, right? And I will also tell to the supplier that, okay, I need to buy this product from you and at this price, right? So all that information about the pricing, what you are going to buy, that is what material you are going to buy, and when you are expecting that particular product to be supplied, meaning if you are creating a purchase order today and you want that particular product to be received by tomorrow, then you should also mention all those details into this purchase order, like the material which you are buying, from which supplier you want to buy it, what is the price, when you are going to receive it. So all that information is a part of purchase order. Yeah. Then once the purchase order is created, okay, now since we want to work with EWM, right, so it becomes mandatory to have this document created, that is inbound delivery. So what is inbound delivery basically? So inbound delivery, so let's say you have created a purchase order for your supplier, right? Then your supplier will give you some acknowledgement, right? Or they will send you some notification that, okay, I have received this purchase order and I will able to supply you 1,000 pieces of a product on so and so date, right? So supplier will send all this information to the buyer. Okay, so what buyer will do, buyer will create this shipping notification or inbound delivery. So there are separate ways, I mean, a lot of ways of creating this inbound delivery, right? So this can be automated as well, right? Because most of the suppliers nowadays are very high tech, right? So what they do, they have some automatic connection with SAP. So they will send some transmissions to SAP, and using those transmissions, the inbound delivery will get created automatically. But all cannot do that, right? So we should always have an option to create the inbound delivery manually. So this inbound delivery will be created using all the information which supplier has provided, meaning what quantity he is going to supply, or on which date he is going to supply, right? So all those information will be part of this inbound delivery, right? So once this inbound delivery is created, okay, it will be transmitted to EWM. Yeah. So here now the inbound delivery is transmitted to EWM. So in EWM, once the inbound delivery is transmitted, we need to perform the good receipts. Okay. But after the good receipt is performed, right, there are a lot of different, I would say, operations which may be needed depending on your business scenarios or depending on your warehouse. Right. So, for example, let's say you have received the consignment. Okay, meaning the truck is received on the door, and you have done the unloading. Right. After unloading, you don't want to directly move your pallets to your final area, to your final storage area. Why? Because all those products, whatever you have unloaded in your good receipt area, needs to be first quality inspected. Okay, it needs to have some inspection done, it needs to have some value added services done. What is quality inspection? Quality inspection meaning, let's say if you have buyed some bottles, right, PepsiCo bottles or something from your supplier, then obviously you will like to have some inspection done, right? So you will just check using some parameters that whatever they have supplied to you is as per your company standards or not, right? So that is all done using this quality inspection, right? So this is one of the step. And then some warehouses will also have, or some business scenarios will also have some additional requirements, right? Now let's say you are receiving the PepsiCo bottles, right? But before you actually store those Pepsi bottles into your final put away area, you need to apply some, labels. Let's say, for example, just for an example, because you are going to store those bottles in your warehouse for a few days, and then you are going to supply it to your some Chinese customers, for example, right? But Chinese customers always, as you know, right, they need everything in their local languages. So for that, we need to have some labels pasted on those bottles or on those pallets, right? So that all activities are termed as the value added services, right? So that is also one of the activity which can be performed in a warehouse depending on the business need. So before the actually goods moves to the final area, all these activities can be performed, right? And all these activities, okay, can be automated in EWM. That is a major advantage of EWM. So my user don't have to bother. What he will do, he will just do unloading. Okay, after the unloading is done, automatically system will propose him to move that pallets from my unloading area to my quality inspection area. Even if he wants to go and move this pallets from here unloading area to final put away area, system will not allow him to confirm those activities. It will always give them an error. So by default, system will create an orders to move the pallets from the staging area to quality inspection area and value added services and all that. So all this process is automated, can be automated in EWM. And that is nothing but the process oriented storage control. Yeah, so that is a very good tool and which is used in EWM, okay, which we will see in more details. Yeah, but just wanted to give you a quick overview of how the flow works between the two systems in ERP and EWM and using all this value add services. Okay, yeah, fine. Now, same way, we have the outbound processes as well, right? So what we have seen in the previous slide is the inbound. Inbound meaning receiving anything from the supplier or from any of your external, warehouses. Now, outbound. So what is outbound? Outbound meaning you need to now do the shipping to your customer, right? So for that also, we will have some process in our system. So again, here we have two bifurcation. One is ERP and one is EWM. Yeah. So here also the process initiates in ERP, right? So first thing, if we want to do any kind of shipping activity, what is the first thing? We need to create the sales order, right? So what is sales order? So in inbound, what we did, we created a purchase order because we are trying to purchase something, right? Same way, when we want to sell something, we need to create the sales order, right? So the sales order will be created in ERP, that is an ECC system. Yeah. Then using the sales order, we need to create the outbound delivery document. So outbound delivery means outbound delivery will have all the information like, okay, so and so product needs to be shipped to so and so customer, right? What is the quantity which needs to be shipped, when it needs to be shipped, all this information, what will be the route, okay, how many, what is the transit day, all that information will be part of this outbound delivery. Okay, so that will be created in the ERP system. So once the outbound delivery is created, it will be then transmitted to EWM. Yeah. So now the role of EWM consultant starts. So see, I mean, so till here in ERP, of course, EWM consultant should know all these things also, right? But actually, this is all taken care by the your sales guys. Yeah, sales guys and guys and all those people. But we should know, right, like what are these integration points and how this outbound delivery is created and what is triggering that this outbound delivery to EWM. So all this we will see it in details, but what I was trying to say is our more focus should be here in EWM because we are going to see all these things in details. Of course, we will see the integration points, but our major focus will be on the EWM process and EWM scenarios, right? So once the outbound delivery is replicated to EWM, then all these activities can be started, right? So in EWM, in case of outbound, we have a lot of functionalities available, right? So for example, we have a concept called concept of waves. Okay, I will not go into details as of now because it's a very big topic. It takes at least 2 to 3 days to complete. So waves means basically it combines, all the requests which are coming from the ERP system depending on certain criterias, right? So it combines all those requests, and using this, we create the orders, warehouse orders. So warehouse orders, basically, again, I will not confuse you a lot right now, but just consider, it's just an instruction, picking instruction, basically. Okay, so picking instruction will be created, and this instruction will be sent to your warehouse operator. Okay, then he will come to know that, okay, I need to do the picking of so and so product, and system will also propose, depending on all our logic, from where that picking needs to happen. Okay, so all that logic and all that intelligence we will have to configure in the system so that the picking activity can be performed very efficiently. Yeah, and in same way as we saw in the inbound, like quality inspection is happening, value add services are happening. So in same way for outbound also it is needed, right? So for example, now, if you want to do a shipping of any kind of a product, let's say if you're working in an automobile industry, right? And if you are trying to do an export of some consumable products like nuts and bolts or maybe bearings or whatever, right? Then it is a requirement from the customer that you should always do, some kind of oiling and some kind of, bubble wrapping, or so that the product doesn't get rusty when it reaches to the final destination, because it's an export shipment. It takes a lot of time to reach from your source to destination, right? So again, we will have to perform some value add services, right? So system will automatically tell to the picker that, okay, before you move your product to the final goods issue area, you need to perform some value added services. So all this intelligence we will have to develop in a system, so we can configure it. Everything can be automated. Yeah, so user will automatically be directed to this VAS or to this service station, where they will perform certain activity, and then they will move the goods to the final goods issue area. So again, this process is called as process oriented storage control. So this we will also see in case of outbound processes. Yeah, so outbound processes and inbound processes, in both the processes we can make use of those process oriented storage control. Yeah, it really helps to automate the things. It really helps users to work efficiently without performing any manual activity and without performing any errors in their day-to-day activities. Okay, fine. So again, now I think you have already understood. So whatever we have seen so far, the difference between WM and EWM, theoretically we saw. Now from pictorial point of view also you will understand. So the above picture over here, you see, in this case, this is a WM managed warehouse. Okay, in case of WM managed warehouse, you see that there are only two flows which can happen. One is the truck arrives. Okay, after the truck arrives, you will do the unloading in your area, GR area. Then what you will do, you will directly have to move your goods to the final storage type, right? Yeah, if you want to have some intermediate steps like moving the stock from unloading area to quality inspection, or maybe to some value add services, then you will have to do a lot of manual stuff. System will not automatically create the transfer orders and all that to move the stock from your staging area to the quality inspection area and all that. You need to do everything manually, right? But here in EWM, you see a lot of variations are possible. So once the goods arrives, or once the truck arrives at the door, what you will do, you will do the unloading. Right now, you have some products for which you need to perform some quality inspection. So you can develop an intelligence in your system that once you do unloading, system should automatically create the orders or the tasks to move the stock from your unloading area to your counting area or to your quality inspection area. And once the quality inspection is done, system will automatically again create an order to move the stock from your quality inspection area to the final storage type. Yeah, so all this variations can be easily implemented in EWM, right? So this is the difference between WM and EWM. right? And there is also a very good scenario or very good functionality which we can easily implement in EWM is called as the deconsolidation. So this I will explain you in a while, okay? But this is a high level difference between the EWM and EWM. Yeah, so this actually I already explained. So this is again just the flow diagram of both the inbound process and the outbound process. Yeah, so in case of inbound, you saw that we can have a lot of variations, moving the stock from unloading area to then staging area, then to counting, then we finally move the goods to the final good receipt area. So again, it's the same thing. I'll not explain this again, but I'll just try to explain you a very good functionality which is available in EWM, which can be implemented to make things easier. That is deconsolidation. So this is a scenario. So if I again take the same company, PepsiCo, right? So they must be buying. So PepsiCo has a lot of products, right? They have a lot of products like they have Pepsi, for an example. They also have, I think, 7-Up, Limca, and also a lot of other beverages which they manufacture, or maybe they are also doing procurement from their subcontractor, maybe, right? So let's say if they are buying those products from the supplier, maybe supplier is doing some subcontracting work, that is fine, but they are getting it done from the outside, right? So once they receive those products from the supplier, they must be receiving it in a pallet, correct? And in a pallet, a supplier, what they will do sometimes, okay, like they will not separate. For them, everything is same. Doesn't matter if it is a Pepsi bottle or if it is a Limca bottle, right? Or if it is a 7-Up bottle. For them, what they are doing, they are packing everything in a same pallet. In a same pallet, what they are doing, they have a pallet, and in the inside the pallet, they have one box of Pepsi, one box of Limca, and everything is mixed, right? But we cannot store everything or the same pallet in your final put away area. Why? Because at the time of picking, it will become very confusing for the warehouse operator to do it, right? Because everything is in the same pallet, then he will become very confused. Like, okay, not confused, I would say, but he will have to do a lot of manual thing. He will have to go into that place. He'll have to see, okay, which one is Pepsi and which one is Limca and all that stuff, right? So he'll have to do a lot of manual activities when he tries to do a picking. Okay, so for such kind of scenario, what we can do, we can implement this functionality called as deconsolidation. So what system will do, the moment we do unloading, right, system will identify that, okay, in this particular consignment or in this particular pallet, we are receiving multiple mix of product. Okay, so that configuration we can do. How system will understand, like, okay, there is a mix of product. So once system understands that there is a mix of product, then it will automatically propose to do the deconsolidation. Okay, so it will automatically propose to, before moving that pallet to your final put away area, it will move it to your work center. So work center is what? Basically, it's a place where the deconsolidation can happen. Okay, so the pallet will be moved to this deconsolidation area, and here user will perform the deconsolidation, meaning they will separate out the stock. They will move the Pepsi bottles into the one pallet, and they will move the 7-Up bottles into another pallet, and they will have the two different pallets. And once the deconsolidation is done, you see this is the one pallet, one box. Yeah, and here they are doing a deconsolidation. So you see now there are two boxes. So one is pallet one is pallet two. So now after deconsolidation is done, system will automatically propose to move those pallets to the final destination storage type. Yeah, so this kind of activity we can implement in system, which I think is not possible in our regular or conventional warehouse management system. So we can implement this in EWM. So system will automatically propose wherever it is needed to do this deconsolidation, and based on this, we can manage our work very efficiently. Yeah, so this process oriented storage control and this deconsolidation, this value add services, what we saw are, a lot of good features which are available in EWM, and which are a big selling point, I would say. when you try to convince your clients also, right, to implement EWM, you can always propose all these functionalities so that they get convinced and you can sell your product to the client easily. Yeah. So that was about the deconsolidation. Now I don't
So,
have.
Amit,
Yeah.
one question: what is palette? You can
Palette
give
me.
me. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So palette means, okay, if I go back, let's see if I have a picture. Yeah. So if you see in this particular picture, right? So these are the racks, okay, where the stock is stored. So this blue box, okay. So this is nothing but a pallet. Or even in the staging area, you see all these boxes. These are the carton boxes which are stored in a pallet. Okay. So this is a pallet where actually everything is stored, right? So that it stores the our product before we actually move it into the final storage area, because we cannot store everything as a loose products. So it actually helps to combine multiple things into one, I would say, one box or one unit before it actually goes into the final area. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so the deconsolidation was the last slide actually, which I had. So I just kept few minutes open. If you have any questions, if you want to clarify anything, we can just discuss on it. Anyone, if you have any queries or anything. I hope whatever we have covered is understood and explained. Of course, it's very high level, but at least it would have given you a flavor of EWM and how EWM works, and a lot of different features are available which we can implement in our warehouse to make life easier. Yeah. So, any queries or anything from anyone?
Yeah, man.